What up, world? Established Rich coming right back at you. And today, we got to talk about Oprah Winfrey's comments about Whitney Houston falling off stage and why the Whitney Houston estate had to step in and clear the record. And I'm going to be honest, this one bothers me because it touches something very basic that all of us were taught growing up. You don't speak ill of the dead. That doesn't mean you lie about a person's life. It means you handle their name with care when they are no longer here. Whitney Houston was not just some celebrity story. She was one of the greatest voices God ever put into a human body. And even with her struggles, her legacy deserves more than being reduced to an embarrassing backstage memory that's being told years after she passed away.
We did the whole, hey girl, how you doing, greeting thing. And then I stopped the cameras and I went behind stage and I said, so tell me, what do you want? What do you want to happen here? And I'm going to tell you what I wanted to happen here. And that was one of the most powerful interviews. And do you all know this is an amazing thing that happened? I had such trust from the Oprah show audience that Whitney did, I think it was her last show with us, and she had gone back on drugs. The first interview I did with her when we'd gone behind stage and I asked her about her intention, she was clean. But the day she came to my show then to perform in front of the audience, she was not. And she fell off of the stage. And I knew that if that story got out that she'd fallen off of the stage, that she would be destroyed by that. And so even though the audience was there and the audience had cameras, I begged them not to put those pictures out because it would ruin her life, and they did not. That would not happen today, I can tell you.
I understand what Oprah may have been trying to say about protection, trust, and how her audience kept something private way back then. But once Whitney is dead, the story changes. Now, you are speaking about a woman who cannot turn to you and say, Oprah, that ain't how it happened. She can't say you remembering that wrong. She can't say, why would you tie that fall to drugs when it was a whole nother reason? That is why this felt wrong. The Whitney Houston estate says the fall happened during a sound check.
I don't know whether it was a sound check or they was actually doing I can't remember exactly when she fell, but she was coming toward the front of the stage, and it's a drop off and it's sort of like a dark spot there. So when she got to the edge, I think somebody told her, "Watch, be careful, watch it," and then she went down. But so you know, we got to her, but she got up. Matter of fact, she made fun about it, you know.
What did she say when she was making fun about it?
She was just laughing. She said, I didn't see that. She said, I didn't even see that. I said, that's obvious. You didn't see it.
Oprah had suggested that she had relapsed and the fall was due to her being high. Do you think that was the case?
No, I think the case was she didn't really know that stage. And when she walked out there, she stepped off of it, stepped off the end onto the next level. You know, that was the case. I don't know. I guess I would did the same thing if I didn't, you know, because it was sort of dark right there where she stepped off at. From her point of view, she might have thought that she was. You know, I'm not downing nobody. I'm just saying that she wasn't.
Not some public performance moment in front of the main audience. They said the stage was dark, Whitney was unfamiliar with the layout, and she was absolutely not high. That is a major difference, because falling during a sound check in a dark space is human. Falling because you high becomes a character story, and that is the damage. When you attach drugs to every moment of Whitney's life, you stop letting her be a full human being. Every mistake becomes addiction. Every awkward moment becomes relapse. Every fall becomes another piece of a tragic narrative that people feel entitled to repeat. That is not fair to Whitney. Whitney already admitted her struggles while she was still living. She sat in front of the world and talked about her pain, marriage, drugs, pressure, fame, and survival. So this ain't about pretending Whitney was perfect. It's about asking why a powerful woman like Oprah will reopen an embarrassing story about Whitney Houston after she gone. especially when the family says the story is not even true. That is where I question the motive. Because what was the purpose? Was it to teach a media lesson? Was it to show how much control Oprah had over her audience? Was it to prove that she protected Whitney back then? Whatever the intent was, it made Whitney Houston look smaller. And that should have been enough reason to leave it alone.
I'll let you go. What is one question you're surprised that nobody asked you?
That's a good one, baby. What's the one question you would like to ask me that no one has asked me?
That's an even better one. Now, how you gonna hit me back with
Because I don't know the questions. I don't know what you want an answer to.
What is a secret conversation you have had on the side with somebody in the industry that you have never told, but it will make an impact on the industry? It would shake a table.
Oh my goodness.
That's a good question.
Baby, if I tell you who I had the secret conversation with, it's gonna shake the table.
Yeah, you asked me. You asked me what I want. I would love to know.
Jesse Jackson.
Okay.
That's it.
And what
Shake the table. Shake the table. Because our brother's no longer with us.
Yeah.
And it would be unfair. So you gotta play fair. Because I will not speak of a person about any conversation, about any incidents, about anything that they cannot say yes or no to. Because when you do that, that becomes unfair to the baby. Because they don't have they can't say, well, yes, that happened or that didn't happen. But I'll just say, brother Jesse Jackson. And it wasn't a bad thing. It was just brother Jesse Jackson.
Yeah, Oprah actually recently talked about Whitney Houston in an interview. Oh, that's why you said, okay, well, there's that. She said that Whitney, kind of passed out. It might have alluded to maybe.
Didn't Oprah fall on stage?
Wellness to me means all things in balance. And balance doesn't mean all things are equal or at peace at all times. Wrong shoes.
Oh, no, I ain't seen it.
And we didn't see we didn't see how she tripped. Nothing. She just went down. We saw that. We saw her. She was walking and bam. And everybody was like, well, she said the shoes. Okay. Well, what was wrong? So, and as we're laughing about it and making light of it, just for me, how do you speak about someone that can't defend it? That, just in my humble opinion, it takes it different. Because that woman can't say yes or no. And now you just want everybody to take your word because you're the great Oprah Winfrey. And you just take my word that that's what happened. That I believe is unfair. I believe that's unfair. And I still love my sister, Oprah Winfrey. Let me be clear about that. People think in correction it means you don't love. It's simply just correction. And I remember Gary Owens said one time, Gary Owens, the white comedian, he said one time, how can Monique say that she love him and then she say this? Because that's called blackness. We know how we do it in our community. And I don't care how many Black women you get with or marry, you're not black, so you wouldn't understand me saying.
These are the kind of gems that she drops.
Yeah.
And me, I've been in here in the game for 57 years, and a subject will come up, and most people don't even know that Monique even talks like this. It drops jewels. I'm sitting here mesmerized.
Me too. I really am.
But I'm not saying anything but the truth.
Right.
And we've gotten so far removed from the truth, when you hear them and you go, ooh.
Nique is saying what a lot of people already feel. There's a basic dignity issue here. When somebody passes away, especially somebody who already had their pain turned into public entertainment, you have to be careful with the stories you choose to tell. Every memory don't need a microphone. Every private moment don't need to be shared just because you remember it. And every story that makes you look protective does not automatically protect the person you talking about. And that is the part Oprah should understand better than anybody. She has been in media long enough to know how one sentence can become the only thing people remember. You say Whitney fell and connected to drugs. And now the headline is not about Whitney's professionalism, her voice, or her comeback. The headline becomes another drug story. And that is exactly what her estate is pushing back against. They were not saying Whitney never struggled. They were saying stop putting that struggle on every moment of her life. That is a fair request. Because if Gayle King sat down years after Oprah passed away and told an embarrassing story about Oprah that Oprah couldn't correct, I don't believe Oprah would appreciate that. I don't believe she would want a private fall, a private weakness, or a private moment being turned into a public lesson without her there to give her side. So why is Whitney Houston different? That's not a complicated question. It's not rocket science. It's basic respect. And this is where the Michael Jackson piece comes into the conversation. Oprah also hosted a special with Michael Jackson's accusers after he died. And whether people believe those accusations or not, the same moral question shows up. How do you handle serious claims against somebody who is no longer here to defend themselves?
Do you think Oprah betrayed Michael?
Absolutely. Absolutely, 100%. And I feel like she betrayed not just him, but my family. After he passed, she asked to do an interview with my cousins, Paris, Prince, and Blanket. So my grandmother invited Oprah over to Havenhurst, to my grandmother's house. And they had a sit down. My grandmother otherwise would not have allowed Paris, Prince, and Blanket to do an interview. But because Oprah was being so sincere, she allowed it. And so I feel like we've let her in so many times. And this is how she repays it.
And build trust. I mean, because again,
Exactly.
the Jackson family doesn't just let anybody in off the street.
Right.
What would you think Oprah has to gain from supporting a documentary like that?
Honestly, I think this is way more political than people realize. I can't speak for specifically what she's got to gain. I mean, I have my suspicions and my theories, but I think that this whole thing is a move to tear Michael down. And she took the necessary steps to do it, and immediate steps. As soon as we knew that documentary was coming out, that interview was lined up with Wade and James.
I want to be very clear. Allegations of abuse are serious and victims deserve to be heard. But it is also true that when the accused person is dead, the media has an extra responsibility to handle the story with balance, context, and humility. Michael Jackson could not sit across from Oprah and answer those men. Whitney Houston can't sit across from Oprah and explain this fall. That does not mean nobody can discuss the dead. It means the standard should be higher because the person being discussed is not here to defend their own name. And that is what makes this feel like a pattern people are reacting to. It is not just Oprah telling one story. It is the feeling that certain black celebrities keep getting relitigated after their death. And the most painful part of their lives keeps getting brought to the front. Like that is the main thing we need to remember. Whitney Houston was more than addiction. Michael Jackson was more than controversy. These were human beings who changed music, changed culture, and carried pressure that most people could never understand. That does not make them above critique, but it should make people more careful. And with Whitney, the carelessness is what bothers me, because the estate did not just say, we don't like how this sounds. They said Oprah's version was a lie. That means the story did not just hurt their feelings. It created a public image that people who are responsible for Whitney's estate says is not true. That matters. When you are Oprah, your words are not small. You do not get to speak like a regular person reminiscing in their living room. Your stories become headlines. Your memories become record. Your version of events can become what millions of people accept before the family even has a chance to respond. That is why powerful people have to be extra careful. The more trust people have in your voice, the more responsibility you have not to use that voice carelessly. And Whitney deserved that care. She deserves to be remembered as a professional who showed up that day, not as another sad example in a drug story. She deserved the benefit of full context. She deserved the dignity of not having an accident turned into an allegation she can't respond to. That is all this really comes down to. The dead still have a name. The dead still have family. The dead still have a legacy that can be harmed by the living. And just because you knew somebody doesn't mean every story you know needs to be told. Sometimes the most honorable thing you can do with an embarrassing memory is let it die with the person who lived it. Whitney Houston gave the world her voice. She gave us songs that will outlive all of us. She also gave us enough of her pain while she was here. We do not need to keep digging through that pain while she gone just to make a point on a stage. So I understand why her estate pushed back. I understand why Monique responded the way she did. And I understand why people in the black community heard that story and felt like something was off. Because we were raised to know better. You don't speak ill of the dead. And if you must speak with enough respect so that they family don't have to come behind you and beg the world to remember the truth. But hey, that's just my opinion. What's yours? Like, comment, subscribe, establish rich. I'll be back with another one. Peace.